3 minutes before the train departed, Myung-ho saw his son's face. The doors had already closed. Through the glass, the young man's mouth was moving, forming words that could not be heard. Myung-ho stood frozen on the platform. He should have run. His legs would not move. That was 25 years ago. Now 68, Myung-ho sat alone on a bench at the same station in the gray cold of early winter. In his hands he held a worn bundle of old ration slips, the ones his wife had kept until the day she died. He had carried them for years without being able to explain why. They simply made him feel that something had not yet been lost. The platform was quiet. A slow wind moved through the open ends of the building, carrying the smell of iron and old wood. Myung-ho had spent much of his life in this station. He had met his wife here. He had carried his son through these gates as a small child. When Gwang-chol was young, he would press his forehead to the train window and stare out. Even when there was nothing to see, his face against the glass, that image never left. On the morning of the day Gwang-chol disappeared, the two of them had argued. It was an old argument. Gwang-chol wanted to leave, to try somewhere else, to find something better. Myung-ho had refused. He believed that staying was the right choice. Gwang-chol called it surrender. They said things that morning that neither could take back. By afternoon Gwang-chol was gone. No bag was packed. His wallet was still in his room. Even his ration slips were left behind. Myung-ho told himself for the first days that the boy would return quickly. He did not. A week passed. A month. His wife, Jung-bun, wept and asked everyone she knew. Myung-ho stayed outwardly calm and inwardly collapsed. About a year later, a distant relative passed along a rumor. Someone had seen Gwang-chol, or someone who looked like him, near the border region to the north. Nothing more was said. Myung-ho understood what it meant and said nothing to Jung-bun. She went to her grave 3 years ago still believing her son would come back. When Myung-ho went through her belongings, he found a torn photograph in a drawer. It was a family portrait from when all three of them were young. The left side had been ripped away in a clean vertical tear. That was where Gwang-chol had been standing. Myung-ho could not tell whether his wife had torn it out of grief or out of something else. Some private decision he would never understand. If you had found that photograph, what would you have done with it? Myung-ho did not throw it away. He folded the torn edge carefully and tucked it among the ration slips. That was what he held in his hands now. The sound of an approaching train came through the platform. The rails vibrated beneath his feet. Myung-ho closed his eyes. This sound always brought back that day. The mouth behind the glass forming words he never heard. For 25 years he had tried to guess them. I am sorry, father. Or, I am going first. Or simply, take care. He was still sitting with his eyes closed when the man beside him spoke. Is that your son? Myung-ho opened his eyes. An old man who had sat down without a word was pointing toward the platform entrance. A middle-aged man stood by one of the support columns. His hair had gone half white. His face had changed, but the line of the jaw, the way he stood, the hands pushed into his coat pockets the same way he had as a teenager. There was no doubt. Myung-ho could not stand up. Gwang-chol did not move either. They looked at each other across the platform for 10 seconds. That felt like everything. No words, no steps, only their eyes, which both filled slowly with water. Gwang-chol moved first. One step, then another. Myung-ho pressed the bundle of papers to his chest without thinking. The ration slips, the torn photograph, his wife's last things held together in his trembling hands. Every word he had rehearsed for 25 years left him completely. His son was a few steps away and he had nothing prepared. Gwang-chol stopped in front of him. The distance between them was the length of one arm. Then Gwang-chol said, "Father, I came back." That was enough. Myung-ho decided in that moment not to ask anything. Not where he had been. Not why it had taken this long. His son was standing here. That was the whole answer. And perhaps his wife had known somehow. Why else would she have left that torn photograph in the drawer? Instead of burning it, the train sounded once more. A cold wind crossed the platform between them. Myung-ho set the bundle of papers down on the bench for the first time in years. Carefully, and then he took one step toward his son. Stories like this one take a long time to find their way out. If this one reached you, consider subscribing so the next one can find you too.